In a world where man conquers all, a world where man built the Great Pyramids, the Great Wall of China, and the Panama Canal, a world where man brings home the bacon and a woman stays in the kitchen and cooks it. The man you wished your man could be. In this world, one man stands out among the rest. Reliable, outright scrumtrilescent, notorious, bewildering, umbrella of life. Rich, graceful, unique, noble, dashing, yappy. These words can only describe one man. Ron Burgundy.
Hi, how are you? Fantastic.
Hi, Ron. So let's get down to business. Where did Ron Burgundy get his start? Ron Burgundy was born July 9th, 1940 to Claude and Brenda Burgundy in a small town called Hagelworth, Iowa.
Well, I had 8 brothers and sisters. Let's see, there was Bartholomew, Jean-Claude, Bertha, Jemima. I'm still a little confused on that one. Then there was Albert and Montez. And then there was the twins, Francis, Francine. So it was 9 of us.
On his 12th birthday, Ron realized that none of his brothers or sisters looked the same, sounded the same, or acted the same.
I'm still 96% sure that they are my blood brothers and sisters.
Ron decided to become an athlete and joined the bocce ball team.
Those were the days. To be in Mother Nature's palm, in the glistening sun, with the cool breeze whisking across my brow. Bocce ball is an expensive sport, so I was forced to seek employment. The only place that would hire me was the news station down the street from my house. And the only thing they would hire me for was being the coffee lad, fetching coffee for the anchors. So I did it, and I did it with pride, just to pay for my bocce ball, so I could join the ABBAA.
The what?
The American Bocce Ball Association of America. It's a prestigious honor to get invited to play in the finals, and I had made it. I was matched against my still arch nemesis, Wes Mantooth. And I was walking up to pick up my balls when I jammed my middle finger on my left hand and sprained it. It sent excruciating pain all the way to my upper dorsimus. You know, I could barely walk. It was such horrible pain. I was forced to relinquish my championship title to Wes. It was a dark day. Dark day.
The ABBAA Championship of 1957 was one of my greatest achievements. Ron stood no chance against my strategic planning and skill. All this baloney about him getting his left finger sprained and having to forfeit's not even true. What happened was Ron walked up to pick his balls up, and a bird pooped on his shoulder, and he got embarrassed and left crying. He's not even left-handed. He could have still played, even if he did get his left finger sprained.
Later that day while at work, Ron was informed that the lead anchor had died in a bowling accident and was forced to read the news. After working at HWIW in Hagelworth for 5 successful years, Ron became a well-known broadcaster. He was sought out by other news stations, but finally agreed to work in Tucson, Arizona at TSAZ Channel 5 News. Ron continued to grow in popularity and skill with reports on the assassination of JFK, the moon landing, and of course, the county-wide Easter egg hunt. This only meant one thing for Ron: lots of ladies.
Ah, the ladies. They were all over me like a hobo on a ham sandwich. You know, I invented the open mouth kiss.
Ron, I would like to ask you about the missing year that you have apparently spent in Vermont.
No.
Ron didn't want to discuss the year he took off to live in Vermont with his friend Barry, where they knitted sweaters next to each other by the fire. Not much is known about that time in Ron's life. Why San Diego, Ron?
When I was working in Tucson, I got a phone call from KVWN in San Diego. They asked me to come and lead their news team. Everything was perfect in San Diego until she arrived.
Until who arrived?
Veronica Corningstone. After our first date, we were inseparable. We were like oil and water. I told her that we needed to keep it professional and keep it quiet around the newsroom, because word spreads fast around the newsroom. You know, it took her about 5 minutes, and she was running around the station screaming at the top of her lungs, just telling everybody.
Ron was screaming at the top of his lungs about all of our personal business, even after I told him we needed to keep quiet about it at work. I never understood why he couldn't just keep his mouth shut. If he never said anything, it wouldn't have left us in such a predicament. He got extremely competitive with me and started treating me the same way a school-aged bully would treat the nerds.
Ron's world seemed perfect at the time. A new love, a wonderful job, and great friends. His world was flipped upside down the day he got a phone call from his brother, Montez.
He had gone on holiday to Mexico. They wouldn't let him come back home. He is a citizen of the U.S. of A.
It's okay.
Later that day, while driving home from work, an enraged motorcyclist grabbed my four-legged companion Baxter. He picked him up and he took him with his foot. He kicked him right off a bridge. And then to make things worse, Veronica tried to steal my job and read my news. My news. So clearly I had to end things.
Ron always had it stuck in his head that I was trying to take his place as lead anchor. He said F. We were live on the air. I had no control over the station firing him.
She had everything to do with me getting fired. She ripped my steel-beating heart from my chest, and she threw it on the ground and stepped on it.
Also around this time, Ron's parents died in a freak refrigerator accident, which he still cannot talk about because he blames himself for leaving the milk carton open. With Montez stuck in Mexico, Baxter gone, his only friends not speaking to him, and Veronica and him broken up, Ron had nobody, so he turned to Scotch. He went broke and had to live on the streets.
That was a very, very dark time in my life. But just a few months later, I got a phone call from my friend, my boss, Ed Harkin. After being tossed out like yesterday's garbage, they needed me once again. So I arrived on scene at the San Diego Zoo for the birth of the giant panda, King King.
I was pushed into the neighboring bear pit by an enemy news anchor. That was going to be my big break. And then I saw him. My knight in shining armor, my big hunk of a man jumping into the enclosure to come save me.
There was no doubt in my mind I was going to save her. It was worth more to me than the big news story. Once down inside the bear pit, however, I realized how bad of a decision I had made. That's when I looked up and I saw my boys from the news team coming to help in the fight. We were starting to lose the battle, however, and there he was. He shone with a light as bright as 1,000 suns. It was Haxter. Come on, boy. He was alive, and that's when I knew we were safe. Everything was in its place. After seeing him, the bears retreated in sheer terror and fear for their life.
Ron went on to report the panda story with Veronica by his side. It was 1 year later that they were promoted to the World News Network, where they still work today. Well, there you have it. Ron is a complex soul with a tender heart. Some men choose their own destiny, and others arrive there by random chance. I'm not quite certain which one Ron is. I'll leave that for you to decide.